don't feel like writing, should you push yourself anyway or pull back and give yourself a much needed break? Let's talk about that today. Hello! You've caught us in the 44th out of 100 daily videos on how to draft a manuscript in 100 days. If that sounds like something that you're interested in, you are in the right place, and I'm so glad that you found us. Welcome! And welcome here. I'm filming in a different location, if you've noticed. This week's videos will all be set here in this beautiful rental house that I've found in the hills of Tennessee. The one great thing about writing, and the thing that I most appreciate about writing, is that we can do it anywhere. And sometimes changing up a setting really helps things. And it may be helpful if you're struggling with this week's topic. This week's topic is all about writing when you don't feel like it. Sometimes just changing things up a little bit helps you to feel like it a little bit more. But today what I want to talk about is that push-pull tension that often occurs for those of us that write. That sometimes we get to this place where we're tired. Maybe we've been writing for a while. Maybe we're just at a place where writing has gotten hard. Maybe there are other demands in our life, but for whatever reason, writing just feels hard. And the question is, do you push yourself through it, or do you pull back and rest? There's a time for both, but how do you know which one is right? Sometimes you just need a kick in the pants. You just need to grit your teeth, bear it, and just do the work. 30 minutes a day, just sit down and knock it out and quit procrastinating. But then there's times where what you really need is some recuperation time. You need time to not be so scheduled, not be so rigid, so that your creativity can start to develop again. So again, how do you know which way to go? Well, one way to determine whether you should push yourself and just do it or pull back and allow yourself to recuperate is to recognize which phase of the writing process that you are in. Now, I have a series of videos on that I'll link below, and you can learn more about that to determine. But the writing process is really consistent. We all go through it with every book. It may look a little bit different. The stages may be longer or shorter depending on you and your circumstances and the particular book that you're writing, but we all go through it. But there's certain stages where we can just expect the writing to be hard. We just know that it's coming because it's part of the natural writing process, that the effort to write is high and our energy and enthusiasm to do that writing is pretty low. And so when the effort's high and the energy is low, it's going to be harder to write. It's going to be harder to write just about anything. It's harder to do anything when that's kind of the phase that we're in. And there's 3 specific stages of writing where you can just expect that to be the case. You can expect writing to be harder during the obstacles stage, of course. You can expect writing to be harder in the mundane middle when you kind of get a little bored with your project. And it's likely that you will experience it being hard when you're in the editing phase as well. So if you're either in the obstacles stage or the mundane middle, or you're editing your draft, then it's probably a good idea just to grit your teeth and push through. To say, I'm just going to work on this for 30 minutes and I'm going to get it done. That this is important to me and I'm just going to do it. And rely less on your feelings, rely less on natural motivation, and rely more on discipline during those times. That is probably the best bet to get you through when you are in those predictable, harder stages of writing. But sometimes you need to pull back and take care of yourself. If you have the unpredictable happen, if you are going through some sort of a crisis in your family, if just something uneventful happens that affects your sleep, or that you have to take care of, that it's just requiring your attention. Maybe a loved one is in the hospital or you're in the hospital. Those are all times to pull back from writing and really focus on taking care of yourself. You may be experiencing a significant transition. So having a baby, moving, starting a new job, those are the kinds of transitions that happen that often require a lot of our effort. And if writing is feeling hard during those times, it's probably because you're expending a lot of effort in other areas. And again, whenever that is the case, whether it is a family in crisis or a natural disaster or just a transition in your life that is predictable and maybe even welcomed, whatever it is, if it's requiring a lot from you, that may be a time to pull back on your writing, to be gentle with yourself if you miss a day. You might even intentionally decide, I'm going to take a week from writing and I'm going to take care of these other things, and then I'll get back to writing. It's important to do that with some foresight, because if you choose to take a week off of writing, that feels a lot better than if you just, oh, I'm not going to write today. And then the next day comes and, oh, I'm not going to write today. And pretty soon you've missed a week of writing. You feel bad about that, but an intentional week off feels a lot better. It feels like you've given yourself permission. Now, it may be that you intentionally choose not to step back from writing, but just to change up your writing. So perhaps during these times when you have a lot of other things that are requiring effort on your part, that maybe you journal during those times, and that actually journaling is helpful, as well as keeping you in the habit of writing on a consistent basis. It may be that you choose to switch and write a shorter project. So maybe instead of that novel that you've been working on, you decide to publish a short ebook, or maybe a family album of some sort. Just switching up your writing sometimes can breed new energy into it and give you a little bit more enthusiasm for the writing that you are doing. So the point is to recognize whether it is a time for you to just push through and be disciplined, or whether to pull back and nurture yourself and your writing. Knowing the difference between those two is really important in your writing. You don't want writing to become a chore or a dreaded thing, or something on your checklist that you must do, so that it starts to feel very obligatory. Writing should be fun. It should be pleasant. If you're going to dedicate a portion of the margins of your life to writing, it should be something that is really worthwhile to you. So in those times when you need to be gentle with yourself, I give you permission, but more importantly, I hope you give yourself permission. If you are struggling to write, ask yourself if you are in the part of the writing process that is naturally more effort. If that is why you are struggling, keep writing. Muster your discipline and get the words out. Just 500 words today. But if you are struggling to write because you've experienced loss, you've had a big change, or life is extremely demanding right now, then give yourself a pass. Journal if you can, but if that seems like too much, take a break from writing. Sometimes not writing is the best thing for your writing.